Hi, Dan Kurz, DK Analytics. Thanks for tuning in. We represent Main Street, not Wall Street, not K Street, and certainly not the increasingly corrupt, unrepresentative, and unconstitutional corridors of power in Washington, D.C., and in too many other Western capitals. As a consumer, you've been dealing with double-digit health care cost inflation as your coverage declines. You've been funding college tuition costs that are going up in mid to high single-digit terms, and you found that it costs 8 to 10% more to fill your grocery cart than it did a year ago. Yet government statisticians are telling you that inflation is but 1 or 2%. If this disconnect has you scratching your head and more, you'll find things of interest at our site. If you are a former full-time employee whose job has been lost thanks to the unconstitutional rollout of Obamacare, you will find things of interest at our site. If you are an employee that used to have a defined benefit plan but lost it years ago and are more or less on your own with a defined contribution plan, and you think that part of the reason might be that monetary policy has long been made for the benefit of debtors to the detriment of creditors and savers, you're onto something, and you'll find something of interest at our site. If you're an entrepreneur who's suffocating in a morass of regulatory compliance complexity, thanks to unconstitutional edicts emanating from the executive branch, you'll find something of interest at our site. If you're an entrepreneur that finds out that a competing business has just been paid a visit by the EPA and they saw a puddle and have decreed the entire business to be a wetland area, shut it down, fined it, and sent a battery of government attorneys on that owner's property or premises, I think you'll find our site of interest. If you're an entrepreneur that's invested for years, if not decades, in your community to build a business, and you hear that the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, has decreed the property of an entire town over to Native Americans, we think you'll find what we discuss and analyze on our site of interest. If you're a citizen that is concerned with trillion-dollar deficits year after year and the growing mountains of debt that this creates and the long shadow those debt mountains cast over your children and grandchildren's ability to repay this debt, much less service the interest that it entails, we think you'll find our site of interest. If you are a citizen concerned with the increasing emasculation of the rule of law, that is, those people that control the instrumentalities of law and government refuse to comply with a lot of the laws and rules and regulations they impose willy-nilly upon us, then we think you'll find our site of interest. If you're a citizen that is deeply concerned about wave after wave of illegal alien immigration or codified amnesty, and you see that such groups are being given driver's licenses and tuition assistance and a battery of welfare benefits, and you worry what's happened to your voter franchise and that your property is being illegally deeded over to people that are not even citizens of your country, we think you will find things of interest at our site. If you are an investor dealing with yield deprivation, you can't get any income on your treasuries or your AAA corporate bonds because of central banks' zero interest rate policy, we think you'll find some ideas on our site as to what to do about it. If you are an investor that's had to get into stocks and those stocks are trading at high PEs, you couldn't get any interest on your secure treasuries and corporate bonds, so you're now in stocks, the valuations are nosebleed, yet you fear there might be a recession, which would put the kibosh on earnings, or strategically, you're worried that this toxic public policy cocktail of regulatory and taxation complexity and sanity is going to reduce the private sector's ability to grow its top line and earnings and thus support stock prices, much less push them higher, then we believe you will find something of interest on our site. In fact, I encourage you to take a look at dkanalytics.com. Subscriptions are free. I'm the lead editor, Dan Kurz. I'd love to welcome you on board. Over and out.